Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my shop, welcome to my channel. My name is Keith and I'm your host. Before we get started, class, how about the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, we're back on our aluminum tanks again. We have this one flipped upside down because we're going to be showing you some unbelievable stuff here. And we have one tank down here that we took down to the boat, and we did some mock-ups for expanding the gallons on both of these tanks. We have broke this down and inspected it after we cleaned it up, and we have decided to build brand new tanks instead of getting into the work just to make this part of these tanks suitable for another duration of time. These are 25 years old. The base thickness of this material is 3/16 of an inch, 0.1875 thousandths of an inch. All right, now part of the tank was looking like we'd have to do some work on around the edges, inside on some of the welds that we saw. Not all of them were on seams, but some of them were the electrolysis eaten up areas were on the baffles. There is a section in the bottom that where water had been settled in the tank, and there was some electrolysis in that area. There was 3 strips here that this rested on, supporting cross stringers. That's what we'll call them. And on the cross stringers, I guess there was some kind of a rubber material there, and there was 3 black strips here. Well, we thought it was just rubber buildup, but as we cleaned it, we realized that there was a buildup of electrolysis in those areas where the contact and vibration, rubbing around, and moisture focused on those areas. So right here, and right there. Now here's a few pictures of the areas around these that look pretty well eaten up, and those are the areas we're gonna take a rotary burr and we're gonna get down into those areas, and when we get to clean material, then we'll take our depth mic and we'll stick it in there and get an idea how deep the electrolysis was going into it and how much of the base material was there. And also, there's enough of that area along each one of these strips. If we were even, let's just say that it was well worth it to go ahead and sit down and rotary burr those areas out and then TIG weld them back in and repair all the way. You're going to have so much weld along these strips right here. This thing is going to tin can all over the place. That meaning it's going to look like chop. That's waves that are pretty sharp. So we also have a couple other areas like this edge right here. This is right on the corner of the tank, and it was a pretty bad area here as well. All right, I'm going to pick an area here, and we're going to set up the rotary burr, and I'm going to go for digging in a little area. We're going to bring in the camera so that you're not so far out. The Sharpie's marking a spot right here. We're going to take that little spot right there. All right, I put a little aluminum tap on my burrs when I'm running aluminum. When it comes to doing some digging out, I want to keep the burr clean so it doesn't build up or get gummy, and it cuts pretty clean. that was bare minimum just to get that clean down underneath that one pit right there. Let's go ahead and take our depth mic here now, and just roughly in the center there, when you saw I didn't do anything special. We have 104 thousandths. So there's really only about 80 thousandths left on the other side of where that's eaten out. All right, here it looks like another deep one here. Let's give that one a shot. $138. So it's only about 30 thousandths, I'm gonna guess. 28, 30 thousandths. You start welding that in and you're gonna be blowing through the other side. Alright, there's some worse areas than this over at the other side. Let's go check those out. Okay, when I tilt my camera down like this, the gyro in the head tends to want to wander a little bit and move around. That kind of is what the seasickness is, that when you watch my videos you'll see. So there's a pretty good little hole right there. I'm chasing that little white powder down on the bottom. Okay, there's the hole there still. Okay, got to the bottom. Let's check that out. Okay, that's 169. So there's only about 10,000 there. I should be able to probably take a little punch and probably punch through that. I'm gonna go get one. Let's see. Okay, this is just a safety goggles. Wear safety goggles. This is just a Mayhem USA punch. You can see it's pretty old, and 1/8 diameter is what it is. I didn't want something real sharp. I wanted to give it a halfway decent chance of holding up here. All right, it's not very thick. You're gonna blow through that welding that in, and I'm hitting just the deepest areas, but here's an area that doesn't look too deep right over here. But still, if you were to chase this all the way across here, you would be bringing that down, and I can feel that's probably a 1/16 of an inch down there. 65. All right, that looks like about an 1/8. 129. All right. So, you know, you really can see that you continue this all the way across here. And that was the determining factor, that the very bottom of the tank was going to be a lot just to bring it up to par. And instead of putting all that energy and labor into repairing, it soon was obvious that replacing these tanks was going to be the way to go. I got one other area. Let's check out the worst area, I think, on the bottom of the tank. Okay, now you can see this. This is really, really, really bad in this area right here. But this damage actually kind of covers in that realm of area. All right, this one here. Before I even start on this one here, let's just see. It's. I'm just going roughly. That's about what it is. Right there's 115 thousandths right there. Okay, I can see yellow right in there, and I've got a opening right next to it. So this hole actually went all the way through the tank at that point. All right, I think we're going to leave this tank upside down right here. We can hit a couple areas on here just so we don't get any scratchy types of areas on the weld there. We're going to use this for a tabletop. And the other tank is behind the camera. We're going to focus on that in a second. And that's the one with our jigs on it. We're going to show you how we're going to be modifying this tank. Behind me over here is the big sheets, the tops and the bottoms of the tank. We got some sides and baffles over here. Over here we have a section of drop that's going to make up things that we've overlooked. And we have 6 sheets over here that is going to make up and a third tank, which is going to be holding about 134 gallons for the generator. Each of these tanks are going to be increased in the size to be 450 gallon tanks. So we're going to have 2 450 gallon tanks and 134 gallon tanks. The usable amount of fuel will be, of course, a little less than that, and that'll be determined closer when we get finished building the tanks, but projected gallons is in that neck of the woods. All right, and our area is nice and clean. We're going to be taking the plasma table, clearing it off, because we are going to want to use the plasma cutter to adjust some of our sheets. Most of it is sheared to dimensions that will benefit the assembly of the tank itself. And we have it set up to where we're going to have full sheets on the top. The original tanks were pieced together on the top, and we're not going to have pieces on the top. We're going to have one solid sheet. There will be no openings on the sides or the bottom of the tank. Everything will be fit in with pickup tubes from the top of these tanks. You see the wooden battens kind of glued together. My best friend did the mock-up for me, and then showed me with it. Also, he gave me a couple pictures of this tank in on the boat, sitting on the port side. And that's how you see it here on the floor. And all the dimensions on the outside of the tank are for the port side. Then the tank was put over on the starboard side, and then he was drawing all the starboard dimensions on the inside of the tank. So I actually have both tanks mocked up with this one here. Changes to the tank. Basically, the tanks originally were 56 on the width, and the starboard tank is going to be 54.5, and the port tank is going to be 52.5. My calculations on the fuel was set at 53, right between the two of them. Both of them are going to be exactly 78 long, and both of them are going to have the extension put on there in basically the same shape. Now there's going to be a little bit of contouring on the bottom side here, because we do have a secondary stringer in this section right here, but we'll be able to rest across on the 3 ribs that it normally or originally rests on, plus this stringer right here. it will also rest on that point there to help carry the load of this tank. We're compensating for a surge tube to go up the outside of both of these tanks. And we have a certain amount of area for the new deck material to be freestanding or support itself over this tank. And that's why we made it a little narrower and increased the length a little bit. And then the third tank will be behind these two tanks in the transom, closer to the transom. And then the center between the two fuel tanks is going to be a combination box pit for fish storage and so on. All right, that kind of gives you an idea of what we're going to be doing. All right, we're going to set up the tabletop here so we can start working on the bottom of the tank. We took a piece of cardboard and put it over the tank, and we laid our two top sheets of tank material down, and then put a piece of cardboard that was given to us when they delivered the material, so we have some good layout surface to play with. We're going to take, this is the length of both of the tanks. We're going to start here with the port. And we're going to figure a center line here, and then we're going to create the width at the front of the tank and the width at the back of the tank, because they do vary slightly. And we're going to draw out our tank on here, and then we're going to start with the bottom sheet, and we're going to work our way up. Okay, this is going to rotate around that way, and this will be the leading edge or the front of the tank. Okay, we've cut out all of our pieces for the bottom of our port tank. And they basically consist of a piece up here in the front. It tilts up about 3 inches. This is an angle out. The outer hull curves in at this side here, so we had to, this doesn't have to be as extreme as the other ones. We narrowed up the tank, so we created more room for the surge tube that's going to come along the outside of the tank. So this could be reduced quite a bit, and by reducing it, we also were able to have more fuel in this area. Now, in the extension that we added on the back here, we knew that we had a stringer coming in here about 6 inches back from where the original tank surface was here. So we angled this back so we came up to the rise, and this will also be added support. The way we configured this out and structurally angled here, and our center web coming down for the center here and here for the baffles, which are also strengthening factors. And then the back of the tank coming down here. The first thing I'm going to do is set up these two pieces on the jig table and clamp this down to where this is perfectly parallel and square as far as the height and the bend. And then we're going to address, we have just a little bit here and a little bit here that I'm going to have to work so that we get the perfect weld seam in this area right here. And we'll tack this piece on the jig table. Then we're going to come back here. We'll remove our cardboard so we can be down on the aluminum tabletop. That will hold us flat enough to go ahead and then tack on this piece to the floor, this in the front. That's the direction we're going to be going. Okay, we put our 1, 2, 3 blocks here. We know that we want this 3-inch rise in this section here. We put a big clamp here with a block, so we're holding this center section right here. that's 3 inches wide in that length there, square. And now we can grab a bolt and a toe clamp, and we can hold that edge down there, and we can hold this edge down here. This was real tight. We pulled this up until we had a little bit of play so that we could not have any dish in this section here. And this already was so close that it is that simple. All right. And we can deburr in here. We have a little bit of deburring to go in there, so we can play with that. This is our piece here. It's going to come in. And of course, we already know that we're wide here because we came outside our marks here, and we came outside our marks here, which made this a little narrower than this here. But it's perfectly fine, because by the time we fit this in, it is no more than just taking a 1/16 of an inch here and here. This end is almost perfect. This end here we'll just sand until it's square with the end. Okay, I've got a nice fit along the seam here. I've put a piece of aluminum here to toe clamp this in, and then we'll move this in along this edge right here just to hold that in. It's a little bit out right there. This seems to be solid, so I'm going to go tack, 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 put a couple along here. This feels really good. This is down tight, that's down. Okay, I'm gonna put one here, and then we'll come down here at the end. Maybe I can hold that in with another clamp. Let's try it. Oh yeah, I can just put this clamp right there, and we'll do that. All right, that's set. That whole seam. That was convenient. All right, we had to pull this piece once again and put it over here because we after welding this and put it in here, it was flared out slightly on the edge there from where our cut was, so we were able to scribe a line right down on both sides so that we carry our width of our tank all exactly the same as design. And now we're gonna finish placing the last piece here at a 45-degree angle, so we use our 45 head. We'll probably grab another one here and a clamp. And that actually helps us hold that right at exactly where it needs to be. Now this is drooping slightly right here because we're hanging off of our tank. And that's going to be a nice joint right there. That looks really nice. All right, I think we'll start tacking here. And then we're going to work our way back that way there. All right, I'm going to go right here in the middle. Okay, that's lifted this slightly up. We're going to hold this down now with a clamp so we can get this clamped here. Okay, we're going to need some weight down on here. All right, I like that. Looks good. Actually, I'm going to try to tack that freestanding because right now it looks like it's in a really, really nice position there. Okay, we're going to work our way right on down the side right now, because this is really helping hold this in a straight line. This is looking fantastic the whole way down. Okay, I'm going to get something underneath, jacked up underneath here to help hold this up. And then I'm going to tack that spot. And then I'm going to release it and then back feed it back into here. And we'll double check and make sure that we're heading off that way okay. That's looking really good. Okay, that's got to be weighted down. There we go. That looks good. All right. Got just a little bit more rod left here. like that. I think I'm going to try to get one right in there. Excellent. This angle, because we're tacked on the inside, we can force this around when it comes time to get our overall width here. We can force this in and out. We can even weld on the back side, and we can pull that weld the other way. All right, now we're going to tack across our lower and back section here. These are ingots of back. They're pretty heavy. Okay, I think our bottom is sound enough to go do a test fit down on the boat.